So far, we saw how to create a table. Let's now study the data types in detail. SQLite 3 is dynamically typed. What does this mean? Even if you create a table with predefined data types, SQLite 3 will allow you to store incompatible data types in those fields as well. For instance, here I1 is a field in the table named types. It's defined to be of integer data type. However, we're going to go ahead and store a string inside of this. If we try to get the rows out, you'll see that the column name is I1 and this is a text is what comes out. Why didn't SQLite check for the type compatibility or even perform some sort of a type conversion before storing and retrieving this data? That's the crux of this section. Storage classes determine how data is stored in disk and how it's represented in memory. A null, for example, is always stored as null in the disk and is also read as null in memory. An integer on disk requires 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 or 8 bytes depending on the magnitude of the value. For example, a 0 would be stored with just 1 byte. An in-memory representation of an integer is 64-bit signed. Boolean values are stored as integers. 0 stands for false and 1 stands for true. Real numbers are floating point numbers like 10.2 and so on. These are basically represented as 8-byte IEEE floating point numbers. Text is stored in different methods depending on the encoding. It could be either UTF-8 or any of these two. Blob, as you recall, stands for binary large object, representing something like your photo or MP3 or any binary object. It is stored and retrieved as is. The last storage class is date and time. So this is kind of interesting because depending on how you or what value you try to store inside this column, the corresponding storage classes are picked. For example, if you try to store text in ISO 8601 string format, that is 4-digit year followed by 2-digit month followed by 2-digit date, 2-digit hour, 2-digit minute, 2-digit second and 3-digit millisecond. If you represent it in a textual format, then text is used as the storage type. If you specify an integer, that is the number of seconds since 1970 12 a.m., then it's stored in integer format. And here you can also store it in one more format depending on the input that you provide. If you provide it as a Julian day number, then it's stored as the real value.